So imagine this, it's January 2000 and the world's still shaking off the Y2K freakout. Everyone thought computers would explode, planes would drop out of the sky, and total chaos would ensue. But we dodged it, or so we thought, because right there and then, in New York City, something was brewing. Something so huge, it was about to flip the world upside down. A business saga where two massive companies, AOL and Time Warner, crashed together in a $165 billion mega merger, a deal so big it promised to rewrite the future. Yet it was a complete disaster from the start. The deal went wrong so quickly and so fast that almost $100 billion was lost in value in less than 1 year. Let's find out what happened, shall we? First off, there's Steve Case, the guy running AOL, America Online. Picture him in his mid-40s, kinda nerdy with glasses, sitting in a bland Virginia office with servers humming all around him. It's 1999 and AOL's the king of the internet. They've got 20 million subscribers, which is more than the sum of people that live in Australia or Texas at the time. Each one of those subscribers are paying $19.95 a month to connect to the internet. That's $4.8 billion a year just from those fees alone. They also made an additional $1.7 billion a year from serving advertisement to their customers. At this point, AOL are everywhere. Free AOL floppy disks and CDs are stuffed in mailboxes, piled up at grocery store checkouts, and literally anywhere you were, they were. You couldn't escape them. Every time you logged on and heard, "You've got mail," Steve's bank account was smiling. That's how significant AOL had become. By 1999, AOL had a 55% share of the US internet market, handling 140 million emails a day. To most people, AOL was not just a company, it was how most people accessed the internet. But Steve, the CEO of AOL, he's not ready to calm things down. He wants AOL to be a global brand, to be known for more than just providing an internet connection. Now flip to Manhattan. Joe Levin's running Time Warner. Imagine him, 60, silver hair, pacing this huge office on the 50th floor. Dark wood, old Time magazine covers framed on the walls. A view that screams power. Time Warner's a beast at this point. CNN's blasting into 80 million homes worldwide, HBO's got 30 million subscribers hooked on The Sopranos, while Warner Brothers is pumping out hits like The Matrix, and Time magazine still moves 4 million copies a week. They're worth $97 billion. But here's the thing, Gerald's feeling the heat. It's the late 90s and the internet's this tidal wave he can't ignore. His empire built on cable, film and print, stuff that's starting to feel old. AOL's eating up the online space and he knows Time Warner's got to get in on it or fade out, so he decides to go all in. So on January 10th, 2000, it hits. AOL says they're buying Time Warner for $165 billion, all in stock. Let that sink in. AOL, this 80s startup turned internet king, valued at $182 billion, just gulps down Time Warner like it's nothing. Steve Case is set to be chair of this new AOL Time Warner, while Gerald's sticking around as CEO. The news explodes. CNN's running it non-stop and Wall Street's buzzing. They're calling it the deal to end all deals. The vision? AOL's internet pipes pumping Time Warner's goldmine. HBO shows online, Time articles in your inbox, and Warner music everywhere. They're tossing out numbers like $40 billion in revenue a year, $1 billion in savings by 2001. Time Warner's stock jumps 25% that day, and AOL's reaches $73 a share. It's like they've cracked the code, it's the future and everyone is lapping it up. Remember though, it's the year 2000, when the thought of watching video over the internet was still an idea that was so futuristic it wasn't even worth thinking about. But from the start, it's a complete mess. AOL rolls in with their team, about 12,000 strong, mostly young, fast moving, thriving in chaotic open plan offices in Virginia. These are .com kids, coders, marketers, fueled by ambition and Red Bull, obsessed with scaling users and building portals. They're used to pivoting on a dime, chasing the next big thing in a world where the internet's still wild and undefined. Then you've got Time Warner, an 80,000 employee strong, sprawling business full of legacy operations rooted in Manhattan's corporate elite. Their people are older, seasoned, working out of polished boardrooms with dark wood and skyline views. They're the suits, executives and creatives who spent decades building empires in cable, film and print, where decisions move slow and steady, backed by contracts and long-term bets. As a result, the tension's immediate between the two firms. AOL's crew looks at Time Warner and see a relic. The sentiment was pretty much, you're stuck in the 80s, clinging onto cable and newsstands while we're rewriting the history. Meanwhile, Time Warner's leadership were not happy with what they considered were just a load of .com flukes trying to tell them what to do. While this is all playing out, Steve Case, AOL's driving force, is laser focused on internet growth. He wants more subscribers, bigger portals, a digital footprint that owns the globe. He's pushing his team to integrate Airworld's tech into every corner of this new company, dreaming of a world where 20 million people have the gateway to everything Time Warner has got. But Gerald Levin, he's in a different fight. He's tangled in Time Warner's web cable contracts with millions of subscribers locked into multi-year deals, movie schedules for Warner Brothers that stretch out years, magazine deals for Time that demand precision. His people are juggling a $27 billion enterprise that's humming along fine without AOL's chaos. Think 20 million AOL users streaming HBO, reading Time in their inboxes, all tied into a digital ecosystem that dominates ads and subscriptions. That's the pitch Steve sold, the vision Gerald signed off on. But in reality, it's nowhere close. The integration's a slog, two massive workforces with no shared playbook. Remember, the merger hasn't actually completed yet. This is just a pre-merger activity and planning, and it's already going poorly. Then March 2000, the dot-com bubble starts to wobble, and the cracks are showing. This isn't just a hiccup, it's the beginning of a meltdown. Those overhyped startups that everyone's throwing cash at, they're folding faster than you can blink. The Nasdaq, packed with tech stocks, hits its peak at 5,048 points on March the 10th, doubling its value from a year earlier, then drops 10% in a single week by late March. That's $500 billion in market value gone in just days. And remember, back then in the year 2000, that was a significant drop. Investors freak, venture capital dries up, and cash gets yanked from anything with .com in the name, and AOL's not immune. AOL's stock starts dripping. That $182 billion valuation that they had just a few months ago is looking quite shaky. It's built on just $6.7 billion in 1999 revenue, which gives it a price to earnings ratio of 150. It's insane even for the 90s when the S&P average hovered around 30. Analysts were already whispering overvalued in late 99. Forbes ran a piece in December calling AOL's growth unsustainable, but the merger hype kept it afloat. The deal with Time Warner, announced in January, dragged through a year of hurdles, and it finally closed in January 11, 2001. By then, the vibe on tech stocks are souring. The Nasdaq's down to 2,470, a 50% nosedive from its peak, shedding $2.5 trillion across tech by early 2001. AOL's riding that wave down. By July 2001, AOL stocks at $36 a share, down from $73 at the merger's announcement. That's $90 billion in market cash wiped out in 6 months. Half its value gone. The broader carnage is brutal. The Nasdaq keeps tanking, hitting 1,650 points by July, a 67% drop from its high. Over 500 dot-coms shut down between 2000 and 2002, and here's where it gets uglier. AOL's core, those 20 million dial-up users, start slipping away. Broadband storming in. Cable modems and DSL jump from 5 million US homes in 2000, which is about 3% penetration, to 15 million by 2003. That's a 200% surge, fueled by Comcast and AT&T pushing speeds 10 times faster than AOL. Believe me, I remember those days. It was crazy. And look, inside the actual merged business, it's a mess too. Time Warner's got a cable system called Roadrunner that could have easily gone full broadband, but the merger's so sloppy they couldn't pull it off. It's two companies with one logo and no real plan. Remember that $1 billion in savings they promised? It never happens. Actually, costs spike with all the overlap. Then by 2002, they dropped this insane number, a $99 billion loss for the year. It's considered the biggest annual loss in US history. That's more than the GDP of places like Peru and New Zealand, just wiped out. Their stock goes from $226 billion combined in 2000 to $20 billion by 2003, a 90% freefall. Shareholders are absolutely furious, as you would expect. Over 30 lawsuits pop up by 2003, claiming Steve and Gerald cooked AOL's books, faking stats like 250 million daily page views. As this is all going on, Gerald's the first to bail. By December 2001, he's out as CEO. People are saying he pushed this deal hard as he wanted a huge legacy before retiring, betting Time Warner's whole future on AOL's bubble. Fortunately for him though, he did walk away with $150 million in severance, but everyone's pointing fingers at him. Steve decides to stick it out as chairman until January 2003, trying to rally the troops, but it's a lost cause by this point. By the time he leaves, he also leaves with a nice compensation package of $20 million. You know, it is Wall Street. The merged entity is slashing 10,000 jobs by this point. Stories are leaked almost continuously about execs fighting, targets being missed, and even a $500 million counting scandal they dig up in 2003 where AOL inflated ad deals. And by 2009, it's all over. AOL gets spun off, worth just $3.5 billion, a speck of its old self. Time Warner stumbles along until AT&T buys them for $85 billion in 2018. In all, this is considered one of, if not the single worst merger in corporate history, all because of a poorly executed merger and a dot-com bubble. Make sure to subscribe for more videos just like this. Thank you.